is going to be very, very basic. All right. So if you pick up on the pen tool quickly, this video might not be for you, but I know from my experience, some students just have a lot of trouble grasping the concept of drawing with the pen tool. I'm going to repeat a lot of things, and so again, if you feel like you got this, just move on. And if you're having trouble with the pen tool, I hope this video will help to clarify what's going on. All right, in this video, I'm going to try to explain the pen tool. One thing I want to show you very quickly is I just did a Google search on pen tool tattoo. All right, as you can see, the pen tool. I'm assuming these are graphic designers who have gone to the extreme of having the pen tool tattooed on their body. Although I must say, I thought this one was really nice. I like that little finger tattoo. Anyway, that is just to show you how seriously people take the pen tool. And it is what I would say is the most difficult to use tool within Illustrator, but at the same time, it is probably the most useful tool within Illustrator. Okay, so I'm going to get into discussing the pen tool now, but before I do that, I'm going to start out with a little square. And I'm going to go to my rectangle tool and draw out a simple box. And the thing that I want you to notice here, okay, I'm on the selection tool right here, and you can see I have the bounding box so I can rotate, scale, etc. I'm going to click on the direct selection tool. Okay, so now with the direct selection tool, notice there are these anchor points on the corners of the square. All right, and all of these vector images are built up of anchor points and corner anchor points and curved anchor points. And that is how the pen tool will work. So if I go to the pen tool, I can click and I can, make corner anchor points, and I can click and drag and make curved anchor points. The advantage of using the pen tool is you can create very precise shapes and and curves and in order to create illustrations or clipping masks. Okay, so that is why the pen tool is important. Illustrator has made, in recent years, they've made changes where knowing the pen tool isn't that as critical in some cases. But if you really want to, know Illustrator and exploit it as much as you can, you really do need to learn the pen tool. Okay, but again, I'll have other lessons where we talk about the curvature tool and some of these other tools, and many that I've already gone through. You can get around using the pen tool. All right, so I've drawn this rectangle, and again, as I said, it is it's vector based, and vectors are made out of anchor points. The corner anchor points and the curved anchor points. Right here we have this square, and you can see if I click on it, there you can see it changes that anchor point right there to solid. And again, I'm on the direct selection tool, the white arrow, and if I click on it again and I drag, I can move that anchor point. I'm going to click on this one time, release, click again and drag, and you can see I can move that anchor point. I'm going to click here, release, click, drag, and I can move that anchor point. I want to select both of these, so I'm going to hold the shift key. I'm going to hold the shift key, click on that anchor point. You can see they're both dark, and these are both light, and now I can drag, and you can see, so now I can move these anchor points. Okay, so that is how the anchor points behave. Now I'm going to delete this. And it's very easy to make anchor points. So at this point, I'd like you to watch what I'm going to do right now, then crack open Illustrator and give it a shot. I'd like you to click on the pen tool and then click, release, click, release, click, release. And I'm left clicking on my mouse, click, release, click, release. And I'm going to undo that. And you see right before I get to the end, I get that little cursor tells me it's going to close the close the loop, that little circle. That's what that's telling me. So I'm going to click and release. And now I have a box or a square. And so now I can go back to the white arrow tool and I can click release on that anchor point, and I can move it just like I did before. And I can reposition it to make sure everything is just right. You know, like that line is lined up. Okay, none of these lines are perfect, but I can show you how to fix it. I'm going to delete that. Now I'm going to go back to the pen tool, and I'm going to make a perfect square. Well, it's not going to be a perfect square, but at least the lines will be in a perfectly straight lines, and 90 degrees and horizontal. So I'm going to click and release. Now I'm going to add the shift key. I'm going to click and release. You can see that line is perfectly straight. My finger is still on the shift key. Click release, click release, click release. And that didn't line up perfectly because even though the shift key was selected, because you know I had to eyeball it and I didn't get it just right. So I'm just gonna click on that anchor point and I'm just gonna nudge that in ever so slightly. Okay, so that is how that works. Now I'm going to show you how to use these same anchor points to make a circle. So I'm going to click on the pen tool again here, and you can see in order to make a curve point, I need to click and drag. All right, so I'm going to click, 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 and I'm just clicking and releasing, and that's the anchor. Okay, I went through this video and I realized I did not have the rubber band on. And you say, what is the rubber band? The rubber band is sort of a preview of what your stroke is going to look like. The next stroke the next vector line is going to be when you're using the pen tool. And I don't have it turned on, and that is the default. So I'm going to go back right here. You'd see like a band attached to that. So I will show you how to turn it on and turn it off. I prefer it turned off when I work, but I think for these purposes it needs to be on. And again, if that's your default, you're going to be seeing it. So I want to go to Illustrator, Preferences, and I'm going to go select Anchor and Display. All right, and you see down here at the bottom, anchor points, handles, bounding box displays. Right here, enable rubber band for pen tool, and I also have it for curvature tool is already selected. But I'm going to click on the pen tool and hit OK. Now you will see something a little bit different when I click. So I'm going to click and release, and you can see there's that line. And that's telling me when I click again, where that next line is going to be. So now I'm going to click and release, and it's showing me that next line. It's not such a big deal when I'm working on with these sharp angles using just corner points. But I'm just, again, clicking and releasing. That's where I'm going to put it. Click release, click release. And when I'm done with this, when I'm tired, I'm finished with this, you see this rubber band is in the way and I want to get rid of it, I can just come over here to my tool panel. But I do find that a little unnerving, having this stringing all the way across the screen. To click on that, and then I get the bounding box. So I'm going to do that again. I hit Command Z to undo that, and I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to click and do it a different way. So I'm going to click and release my mouse. And another way to get rid of that is just hit the Enter key, and it goes away. All right, another way, I'm going to click on that, and I can hit the Escape key. All right, and the last way, and this is the way I usually do it, is I hold the Command key or Control key on a PC, and and it goes back to a selection tool, and I can just click on the background. Okay, so that is the first way you can use the pen tool. I can really make, if I put these points really close, this is not the way I would recommend that you use the pen tool, but you can put really close points or anchor points and make a fairly, tight selection. Okay, so I'm going to delete that. All right, now I'm going to show you how to use curve points. Okay, so keep your eye on the screen here and just watch me do it one time. All right, so I'm going to click and release. And this is when that little rubber band is going to really show you what it's doing. I'm going to hold my finger down on the mouse button. My finger is still down, and I'm going to drag my mouse to the right. To the right. And you see, as I'm dragging it to the right, it's not intuitive. Because right now you'd think that that is the line that I've just dragged out to the right, but that is not the line. The line is here. You see, if I move my cursor, hang on. If I move my cursor, that is the line. Okay? So pay very close attention to this. When I clicked here as I was moving and dragged this out, this line actually is what is influencing this curve, and it's going to influence the next curve. So I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to delete, click. Now that's my line. Now I'm going to click hold. My finger's on the mouse button. I'm not continuing the line. I'm influencing the line. Again, that's a mistake a lot of beginners make. It's very confusing. It is not intuitive. So I hear you if you're complaining. Okay, so this is the line right here. These handles influence the line. So because this handle is up here, it's pulling the line. Okay? Think of it as, like construction material, and these are holding this line in place, or like this is the wind blowing, or right here I guess it would be sucking towards that direction, so it's pulling the line and making it curve. Okay, so if I click on this handle, again, this is not the line that I'm drawing. I can click and move that up and down, and I can bend it up this way, but this is the line that I've drawn. These just influence it. So if I click away, you see that's my line. The handles disappear. Okay, so I'm going to go again, and I'm going to continue across. So I'm going to click release. Now I'm going to hold my finger on the button, on the mouse button, and go straight out. So remember, this is the curved line. These are the handles which influence the line. Now I'm going to release. You see, now this handle is influencing this next segment, and that's why this rubber band is important. Remember before, when there was no handle here, it would this line was straight, but now it's telling me because this handle's here, it's curving. So from here, I'm going to move out to here, and I'm going to click hold. My finger is still on the mouse button, and I'm going to drag to the right. And when I release, you see that handle is not my line. This is my line. The handles will disappear as soon as I click away. Okay, see, that's my drawing. But I do need to drag to the right to get the line in that shape. The problem that I see a lot of times is, like, if someone draws out this line, they immediately think this handle is the line, and they go back to click here, and by doing that they okay, so if this is still together, I'm going to do that again. I'm going to click, drag that out, and then you see the rubber band is telling me this is where the line is, but then they go to click on that handle again, and they make another anchor point, and it gets really screwy. Okay, so that is the anchor point. Ignore it. You can see the curved line. I can move up here. I can click, drag to the right. Come down here, click, drag to the right. Come up here, click, drag to the right. Again, remember that handles are not the vector drawing. They just influence it and help you to build that line. But I'm going to move on to the next video, and I hope I didn't annoy those who got it, and I hope those who are having trouble with the pen tool, I hope you understood that.